Wow. Wow. It's good to see, with the state of our economy, it's good to see very happy people ready to make money. And also good for networking. So as of this, they've said, my name is Gordon Oito. I'm a partner, senior partner at JM Associate. I'm holding brief for John Mwangi, who is on his way. He had traveled a bit, but he got delayed a bit, but he should be jetting in any time from now. And I'm just going to take you through generally. I've been given 10 minutes. So generally the state of economy at global level, at the Kenyan level, and also at the East Africa level. I'm saying it's just wow to get this number of people in one room, happy and enthusiastic about investment and investment opportunities. So quickly, what I'm going to be talking about is investment in what I will say a gloomy situation or gloomy economy. And the first bit, if you are to go through the newspaper daily, if you are not strong, you might actually be having high blood pressure. Silvio? So it's always something. So if you look at it quickly, the fuel usage dips. If the fuel usage dips, we know very well it's because there was an increment, a double increment of VAT on fuel of around 8% to 16%. So that is the kind of news. And then the other news you see is people unable to pay their loans. So there's a lot of loan provision or loan impairment in the market. I think the last bit, it was around 592 billion. So if you are here and you are not paying your loan, you are not alone. So there are quite a number of people struggling and going through economic challenges. We are talking about 592 billion in the market. If you remember, I think that is enough to finance the whole of, I think the biggest budget was education. Education was around 600 billion. So actually, with the impairment of those loans, that is what we are talking about. So the picture might not be rosy, but Warren Buffett once said, when others are greedy, you are not greedy. And when others are not greedy, you become greedy. If you can go to the next slide. So again, at global level, it is recession. If you look at the US, the economy is doing well actually in the US, but what is going on currently is there's a lot of inflation. So the way we are crying about high prices here, the same way we are crying about high prices also globally. I will not bother people with the numbers. If you can just go to the next slide. So let's talk about our country, Kenya. So our country, we had one of the biggest budget ever. We are talking about a budget of 3 trillion, of which 2.2 trillion is on recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure is like your household expenditure. It is not development. There's nothing you do with it. You are just surviving. And then we had a development expenditure of around 700 billion. And out of this, we've planned to finance everything except the 4.8%, which is around 300 to 400 billion, which is unfunded or is not planned. So that is our deficit. So that is around 4.8. which is actually an improvement from last year, which was around 5.6. So how are we doing currently compared to 2022? So if you thought the 2020, so before you go, if you thought the 2022 was bad, 2023 is here with us. And just quickly, we are looking at a drop in economic growth to 5.3% from 6.2% last year. The global projected rate is around 2.9. So you can imagine Kenya is even doing much better compared to other economies. So if we look at the different sectors, of course, one of the biggest sectors in this country is agriculture. Agriculture drives everything. So Kenya, we are Ugali country. So if you want to cause riot, just make sure there's no Ugali in the shelves. That one, even the president will be smoked out, trust me. So when it comes to agriculture, we are talking about 5.8%. The service sector have decreased. Service sector is like sectors like this. Most of the people are in the service sector. So probably you are providing investment services, you are providing consulting services. We are talking of decrease from 8.9 to 6.3. ICT. So if you remember, Kenya is one of the hub in Africa in terms of the ICT, and there was some good growth over the years, and this has actually decreased by around 8.7%. Then finance and insurance sector. So this is where this has a big decrease. So we used to talk about 17%, now we are talking of 5.8. And accommodation. So accommodation nowadays, when we are talking of accommodation, we talk about A and B. So if you are in A and B business, you will realize that the business have actually contracted. So that has reduced from 40% last year to around 21.5%. So actually that part is struggling. And then we have industry, manufacturing. So manufacturing, you've heard about the Kenya Manufacturing Association talking about reduction in manufacturing. So this is from 3.8 to 2.0. And this you can attribute to the main economics 101, the main factors of production, power, labor, and as you can see, if you are processing payroll, you know, you have the NHIF, you have the housing levy, you have to deal with all those things. So being an employer right now is quite a challenge, especially now. Today is 27. So if you have payroll, I think you look at it, take it back, look at it, until the day you'll get some money to settle. And then we have the construction, which you will be shocked that construction has really contracted by almost half, from 6% to 3.1%. And electricity. So people are even not using much of electricity. So I don't know whether they decide to stay in darkness, but this has reduced from 3.2 to 2.3. Quickly to the next page. I'm being told time is not on my side. If you are an importer in Kenya today, you know, the beginning of last year or late last year, the exchange rate was hovering around 1. In fact, when it clocked 100, we were shocked. People were shocked. Then it came to 120 high, we were very shocked. And then now, it has breached 150. So you can imagine if you are an importer of goods and services today, and you are in business of importing, then at the end of the day, you are almost spending 50% of what you used to spend almost 1 year ago. So Forex, this is a big issue. Of course, if you are in business where you have transmission from other countries and you are receiving money in dollars, then you are in business. You are really good. Actually, your revenue has actually increased by 50% without doing anything. Okay? Then interest rate is increasing. You can imagine the CBK base rate is 12 point something percent. The MPC met last time and they did 12.5. This is before the bank touched. So right now, most of the banks, if you look at the rates they have supplied this week, it's coming to around 17%. It's between 16 and 17%. Meaning that by the time they are costing your risk or including your risk, the rate is going to be 20. So we are looking at the other rate which will be going to 20 to 30. You remember when the rate was 30% was it 2009? You'll just give me 5 minutes. Two, okay. Okay. And then if you are investing in a Nairobi Stock Exchange, you've seen, yeah? Safaricom shares has come down to 12. Yeah? KCB is at 19. And this is because most of the investors are selling off and running. And it's because right now it is safer to invest in, let's say, US stock or US treasury bills. And then there is increased government borrowing. I think we all talk about that. We are looking at the second tranche of almost 500 billion by June 2024, of which we've been trying to see how we can pay. There have been talks whether we should settle some before that. Again, that is having an effect on everyone. And if you look at the T-bills, Kenyans are refusing to invest in those long-term bills. So they prefer to do 3 months and 6 months. Anything above 6 months, CBK has not been able to get some money from investors or from the for the people. Then there's reduced capital expenditure and then the capital flight. If you can go to the next page. I will have to talk about the way forward because I think that's why people are here. The way forward is probably this is, if you have some extra money, this is where you need to review and check the risks and actually snap in some of these cheap stocks. So, and this is also, so if you had bought KCB, for example, at 38, this is probably the time you need to look at the fundamentals of KCB and decide whether you want to put it more money or not. The same to Safaricom. So the way forward is, at the end of the day, our economies have managed to ride a recession and actually come out stronger. We did it during Moi time when Kibaki came in, and probably we'll do it again. So it might just be a temporary hiccup, but this is probably the time to be brave because the brave will reap in. There's, in each and every side of the economy, whether it is recession, whether it is bull economy, there's always somebody who is benefiting. Otherwise, my time is up. I've been reminded twice. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and thanks everybody for coming here. This is a good crowd, quite encouraging, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.